Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of those who would fully endorse a Legally Blonde spinoff where it's just Jennifer Coolidge as Paulette going on zany adventures with her dog, Rufus. I'm Hannah Leach.
And I'm Audrey Leach. We are the sister filmmaking duo also known as Two Pink Pictures, and we have not stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the movies that first inspired our love for film, in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today, we are talking about 2001's Legally Blonde.
If I'm gonna be a senator, I need someone serious.
I'm seriously in love with you.
I love you.
Liar! This is the type of girl that Warner wants to marry. A law student. Going to Harvard is the only way I'm gonna get the love of my life back. For my admissions essay,
Action.
I'm gonna tell all of you why I'm gonna make an amazing lawyer. I feel comfortable using legal jargon in everyday life. I object.
Her list of extracurricular activities is impressive.
She was in a Ricky Martin video.
Aren't we always looking for diversity?
Welcome to Harvard.
Don't be scared. Everyone will love you.
Elle? I'm sorry, are you here to see me?
I go here.
You got into Harvard Law?
What, like it's hard?
I got a PhD from Berkeley.
MBA from Wharton. I've been deworming orphans in Somalia.
2 weeks ago, I saw Cameron Diaz at Fred Siegel, and I talked her out of buying this truly heinous Angora sweater.
Malibu Barbie lives.
I've come to join your study group.
Our group is full.
Oh, is this like an RSVP thing?
No, it's like a smart people thing. I give it 2 more weeks.
What is this?
We're betting to see how much longer you're gonna last.
You're not smart enough, sweetie.
I'll show you how valuable Elle Woods can be.
MGM Pictures presents.
Do you have a resume? It's pink.
And it's scented. I think it gives it a little something extra.
A comedy about knowing who you are.
You think she just woke up one morning and said, I think I'll go to law school today?
And showing what you've got.
We're defending Brooke Wyndham. You can buy her exercise tips on infomercials.
Wait! Exercise gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands.
You're fired.
What?
I have new representation.
Reese Witherspoon.
Do you remember when we spent those 4 amazing hours in the hot tub after winter formal? This is so much better than that!
Legally Blonde.
Welcome back to Sleepover Cinema's 2-part spectacular on Legally Blonde. Now, if you have not listened to last week's episode, you're about to be very confused as we are featuring our mom and about to get into many of the questions that we have had for her
Throughout our 2 seasons.
Of Sleepover, both related to Legally Blonde through a lens of Legally Blonde and unrelated. So if you want to comprehend what you were about to hear, go back and listen to last week's episode. And if you already listened, you're part of the family practically. So welcome back. And we are about to get into our questions for mom, also known as Jennifer. And she got these questions in advance. So I am so we're not attacking, but what's the word?
We're not interrogating.
We're not surprising her.
Cross-examining?
Yes. She knows what is about to happen. So the voice you just heard is that of our mother, Jennifer. We already made her explain about herself in the last episode, so I'm just going to do it this time. She is obviously our mom. We don't have any siblings. It's just the 2 of us. And she is an artist, graphic designer, former art teacher, sometimes still art tutor, and maintains a studio practice and is a very talented printmaker, designer, basically a very good artist and mom.
Thank you.
So that being said, we have many questions, so we'll just get right into it. Okay, so let's just start with like the more Legally Blonde based things. So this movie came out in 2001. Which makes it very much like a movie of Audrey and my generation. Like, this movie was very culturally significant for people our age. And some say that the movie is feminist, and it kind of is, but that's not really my main point. My question is for you, in 2001, just imagine going back in time, 2001, like Boston era, like when we lived in Boston for that one singular year, when you thought of a feminist, what did you, because we talk about feminism a lot on this show, like what did a feminist look like / what did it mean to be a feminist to you back then?
Well, I think, because I had these questions beforehand, I had time to think about this. And you can't help but think about it relative to now. So basically, back then, feminism, a little bit of it was trying to be equal to men. So like performing, say, in your job, equal to how a man performs in their job, like being able to do what they do in their world. And now feminism is different than that, for the better, I think. Being able to change the system to work for men and women. So men change a little bit, women for the world to work better for women. So that is different, because that wasn't really in 2001 the perspective, I believe, of women who wanted more equality. So and
which makes sense,
yeah,
because these things happen gradually.
Right.
It's like, how are we? First, women just need to be present in the workplace.
Exactly.
You know, and so of course at first you have to like bend to their will, basically, and then over time it's like more
you
and
figure
more
out,
women.
well, why do we have to do it your way?
Yeah.
Why can't we do it in a way that works
for everyone?
For everyone.
And bringing a feminine energy to things. And
Yeah, I feel like this and that sort of feeling to me, or like how you describe that, reminds me of like the bridge between second wave and third wave feminism a little bit, like making it less working girl, like less like cutthroat, let me be more masculine, more aggressive.
It actually made me thinking about this question made me think of the movie 9 to 5.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah.
Because that was how that was the approach they had to being women in the workplace.
And part of why I wanted to ask you this question was because I remember back when we were living in Solon, which was like the town that we lived in our second half of childhood, you did like a series of prints about like femininity, like as we were saying earlier, like trappings of femininity. And I'm wondering like what moved you to make those at the time?
That time.
And can you describe them a little bit?
That was about just sort of the sort of maze-like pursuit of presenting yourself as a female, and that you know, the fancy hair you have to do, you know, all the makeup, and really it was things to me which actually still makes me sad. So what women will do to themselves to be acceptable in society, like shoot things into their face and do surgeries, and you know, why I guess I was thinking about, why do women feel like they have to do these things to themselves, this, you know, impossible dream of femininity. So that was like
physical perfection.
Yeah, like what is the ideal, you know?
Yeah.
Why? You know, it doesn't make sense to me. So
yeah. And I think one thing that's really interesting about that now, and like this is not me, this is PSA, this is not me picking a fight, is just that I feel like a big part of how people's thoughts have evolved since then, and like I think that's still a totally valid viewpoint, but like a lot of people view like body modification or like extremity as like an extension of self-expression, or like you only have one body, like do whatever you want with it to like be the happiest you can. But I was kind of thinking about this actually when we were at the salon today. It's like for me
too.
Like really? Like for me, for example, it's like I love makeup and I love doing my hair and stuff. And it's like, is that rooted? Like, why does it make me feel good? It's like, oh, because it looks good. Who decided that it looks good? Someone who is selling something.
Yeah.
Isn't that just contributing to capitalism? Yes. However, at the end of the day, how does it actually impact my life? It's fun. So you like,
I mean, and it's like, are you, and this all comes down, this is like a male gaze capitalism thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, there is a like evolutionary and like real reason why people have enjoyed like adorning themselves over time.
Yeah.
It's
to
not,
me, there's a little bit of a difference.
Can I finish my point?
Finish your thought.
Because I'm gonna come back to what you're saying.
Okay.
It's like, it's kind of like what you're saying evolved into, well, it's sort of like a choice feminism thing where women were like, well, now I am making a choice about my own body, therefore it is a feminist choice. But it is operating under the constraints and guise of the male gaze, whether you
And
like
capitalism,
it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, if you believe this organically grew in your brain, it's like this structure existed long before you and will exist probably, let's be real, after you. And so I think on an individual basis, there is, like, I'm not gonna like fight someone who got injections or something. I'm not gonna be like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
But to just recognize and understand that you made that choice to make your life in the male gaze easier.
Yeah,
You know?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think for me that, you know, things like, you know, we go, we get our nails done and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just self-care. That's like fun with your daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like I want to try to cram myself into some image that's outside of myself. Like, you know, I'm trying to create this image of myself that isn't what I am, you know. And I guess here's sort of why I think this, because many times, and I'm not saying always, but many times people that do that don't like themselves. And it makes me really sad that someone doesn't like themselves to the point where they're going to go to those extremes to try to get to like themselves from the outside like that.
Yeah, that's
validation.
That is a good, yeah, right.
And we are an extremely image-based society.
Yeah, even worse now than we were.
Very much worse now.
Way worse now than we were 20 years ago.
It is sad. It's so hard because being like our age and stuff, you're constantly wanting to straddle this. Like you can, like I agree with you. Everything you're saying, I agree with. I feel bad that anybody feels that they have to, or not that they have to, but they feel that they want to
spend like. And it's so much money too. It's like a whole industry
and recovery.
That's what's so crazy about it.
It's about money.
Yeah,
it's about money, and it's so hard because people's emotions are so wrapped up in this.
Yeah,
that you don't want to tell them that they're wrong for doing something that they know they want to do.
Yeah.
So
that's why I like when like a celebrity like Alicia Keys, she turned her public image into a really natural public image, and I really was happy about that because.
But she's so beautiful.
She is beautiful. There's no doubt about it.
She also probably, I mean,
but she looked different. She didn't look after she made that style change. She looked like her natural self instead of a forced self.
As far as we know.
Yeah,
because the thing is, celebrities will always have.
I know there's a,
and that is true. The whole thing.
Right.
It's like this endless like rabbit hole you can go down of like this lens and then this lens and then this framework, and like you will literally never hit the bottom if you keep going. Yeah. But I think it's really interesting, and it's something we talk about on this show pretty often. Like because the media also plays a role in this too, and all we do is media analysis, so there's a lot to think about. But I brought that up because I felt like you have opinions that like nestle into this show really well too. Like you've thought a lot about like femininity as like a performance in the same way we have, just like a slightly older, like, you know, you just have more life experience than us, so it's different.
Yeah.
We could go on that question for the next 2 hours. So
we could.
Okay, so but kind of related. So from what you remember around this time period, so think about like emergence of Britney Spears, emergence of Christina Aguilera. I remember not being allowed to listen to Britney Spears. What was the general media like image of like the hot blonde, like, I hate to say teen, but I feel like it kind of was that at the time.
They looked like adults to us, but they weren't.
Yeah, so like I guess to you as like a person, but also as a parent, like what was your like approach or your understanding of that like product that was being presented?
Well, I think during that time you guys were pretty young, right?
Yeah.
You would have been like how old?
4 and 6.
4 and 6.
So to me, that was a little bit. First of all, I honestly, when I read this question, when you gave it to me, I tried to think what was the hot
Yeah,
blonde
that's why I just
image?
tried to give you like Britney.
Right, so
Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
All those things, I honestly paid very little attention.
Yeah, I know you were
to
busy
it.
parenting.
Yeah,
like.
I was parenting young.
And you've
kids
never been
and
you've never been that involved in pop culture at all.
No, I just thought Britney Spears. You know, I just thought it's fluffy pop culture stuff. I didn't hardly pay any attention to it other than like Christina Aguilera. I thought she had an incredible voice, you know, but I didn't really think anything about it other than that, honestly.
But we were not allowed to listen to it.
I'm trying. I just maybe you were so young. Maybe there was some.
I mean, the
lyrics
music,
that
like it's like why would a 6-year-old need to listen to Britney Spears?
I'm not saying a 6-year-old needs to listen to Britney Spears.
I don't really remember saying that you can't listen to Britney Spears.
No,
I don't.
No, I
either.
am literally sure, but it's fine. Like I remember it being like the forbidden fruit because it would play on Disney Channel or Radio Disney sometimes, and we would listen to Radio Disney, especially in Boston. But it's still like baby, like oh baby, baby, like it's still what it is.
Yeah,
but
maybe I just thought there were some lyrics that I thought, oh, that's not good for young girls or young children.
Yes.
But you know what? I was a new mom myself at that point, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
and so
that is true.
I probably just didn't like some of the lyrics.
Yeah. But I think that's why, like, we were never huge Britney fans.
But that's because we weren't.
I also didn't respect her music either. But that being said,
there you go.
That wouldn't be. I would never say don't listen to something to you because I didn't like it. It would have been probably
the
more
content.
Yeah, probably the content.
The image and the content.
So
I just don't even remember it hardly.
But so I have other memories too of like, I remember because I loved Evanescence when I was a little kid. And I remember so clearly buying this one album, Fallen, for those who know Evanescence. And you listening to it on an MP3 player while reading every single lyric in the booklet and then deciding that I could have every song but one. And my...
That's so mean for a child.
It was called Tourniquet, and I actually recently learned what a tourniquet, how it works, and what it is.
It was like a drug use song.
It probably was.
Yeah.
But my question is, when did you decide that you were going to actively give a shit about patrolling media that we consumed?
I feel like it's as soon as the kid starts asking.
Yeah, well, basically, first of all, patrolling seems very punitive.
Okay.
That term,
all right, not patrolling, but reviewing.
Yes,
it's responsible.
I think I wanted to protect you, and I wanted you to have like a
untainted.
I wanted you to have your pure childhood without like thinking about like somebody like putting a tourniquet on their arm and shooting up.
How dare you?
You know, it's like.
She's so much worse off because of what
God,
you've
what
done.
if I had known?
You would have heard it and it just would have went over.
Yeah. But anyway, please continue.
Audrey was younger than you. You were the older one, and also the very precocious one. So especially at that age, because Audrey was just like, what's Hannah doing? I'm going to do that. But you were like, if there was a lyric, you were hearing it. Like a lot of kids maybe just they'll hear the song and they won't even notice what it's about. But you were noticing it for sure.
That's a good point.
Very content aware.
Very,
that's a good point.
Very much so. I mean, I remember at a very young age that you were loving Bjork. And like, what little kid loves Bjork? That doesn't even make sense. So I think for me, it's like, here's a kid that's a sponge, and she's so young, and like to be able to process that stuff is...
You can't. You don't have the tools.
You don't. So like, you can only do your best to try to like, guide your kid, each one individually, different personalities through the media scene that, is coming at them. And, that's basically... my motivation.
That's a really good point, though.
Yeah, you need to take that into consideration.
That's true. I'm taking that. I'm
like knowing how
I am,
or how you are, and how you absorb like shows like As Told by Ginger, or like whatever show, like how much it literally would affect your actual life day to day, more so than other children.
That's true.
For sure.
That's a good point.
Yes.
That's really true. I guess I never thought of it that way. On Legally Blonde, if you don't know the answer to this, it's fine. Do you remember showing us this movie? And we confirmed it was like 2004, 2005. I'm kind of surprised that this was a movie we watched together.
I do remember.
Okay.
And it took me this question to like dig it up out of my brain. But I think what happened was Dad was going to be out of town for a weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I can watch a movie with my daughters that Ray would not want to watch.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun mom-daughter time. So that would be, what movie do I know they would like to watch that maybe is maybe a little bit older for them, because I know Hannah would love that. And Audrey was so young that, she'll just be happy to be with mom and especially her sister. And so, how old were you again?
I would have been like
third grade.
No.
Second or third grade.
Well, I don't know what year. Yeah, so why do you think it's 04, 05?
Actually, it could be 06. I think it was 2005, though.
That seems right, because if it came out while we were in Boston.
It came out in 01.
No.
Yeah. No,
right.
Because, you said it was 01 that it came out.
Yep.
And then it would have been when we got home from Boston, which would have been end of 02.
You probably got it from the library.
No, we owned it, because why else did we have it?
But we didn't own it until later.
Probably not
really?
at first. Yeah.
Okay.
But, and also something I hadn't seen and kind of wanted to see. So
yeah, you probably had heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and it was, a girl thing.
Yeah. It was a cultural moment, too, for sure.
Yeah, so that was really it. That was why and if I thought it was a little old for you, which I probably did, I thought, well, I'm going to watch it with them.
Right.
And if they have any questions, I'll be able to
Mommy, what's a Percocet? What's liposuction?
Yeah. Or I could just hit pause if something is going to happen that I didn't like. So.
Right.
But it turned out it was completely...
Yeah.
There was nothing in that movie for that age that I would have had any problem with.
Yeah. When you found out, I might expand this question a little bit, but when you found out that you were having daughters, and for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going very like gender essentialist here. Did you ever, like, was it even a thought that occurred to you that like actively thinking about the media that we were going to consume would matter or like be a thing? Like, did that cross your mind?
Of course it crossed my mind, yes. But I don't think it had to do with your gender. I mean, if you were boys or girls, I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I would have wanted... I mean, my intention with you guys always through your childhood was to help you interpret things that were coming at you, because there's so much. And then when I did know I had girls... I did put the female filter on it, because I know that women move through the world in a different way than men do. And the microaggressions, which I didn't have that language for it then, but in retrospect, I see that is what it was. I definitely felt those microaggressions, but I really didn't have the language for it myself. I wanted you to be able to process it, notice that it was happening, and have opinions about it. So be able to think critically about media and what media was coming at you, whether it's a movie, whether it's Victoria's Secret.
You know that question's coming down the pike.
Whatever it is, for you to be able to process that in a way that, is
age appropriate.
Not just accepting it and like, I have to be that.
With a critical eye.
Yes, with a critical eye.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, we certainly have that.
Yes,
Here we are.
Hence.
Considering the setup.
Very much, yes. Very much.
I don't know why it has come up so many times on this show and in life that Victoria's Secret was so expressly forbidden. I think just because it is a cultural entity that continues to be commented on in not so good ways today.
I mean, it's like shut down now.
Yeah. And so okay, Audrey and I have talked about this so many times, but we specifically, whenever we would go to the mall, first of all, well, no. I'm going to let you explain it. How did you approach taking us to the mall? Because we went kind of
Let
a
me
lot.
just say, I've listened to every episode, and I know that the story of you saying that I would make you not look over there.
Yeah.
No, that's literally what it was.
true.
All right, so that was a parenting mistake.
Really?
I think so, yeah, because I think
just needed an explanation.
yes, I think I handled that wrong, but I think it was more that was personal on my part because it pissed me off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I felt like, why can't I take my kids to the mall and not have this image out there
huge
that this is like, you know, you go to the mall, all the marketing, especially back then. Now malls don't even exist, but back
Victoria's
then,
Secret and malls don't
yeah,
exist.
just malls,
They've both been like blown off the face of the earth, yeah.
which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But
I kind of
all
love
all the marketing. I mean, I would get anxiety going to the mall. I used to work in a mall,
Right.
but because the marketing was so
It's very
in your
sexual.
face. Yeah, and just like, this is how you have to be. This is what you have to wear. This is what you need to look like. If you don't look like this, you can't even work in here.
Hollister,
Right.
You know,
Abercrombie,
that
and
kind
Fitch.
of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just hated everything about it. And I think for my young daughters, I didn't want them to feel that or have to model themselves after that. So by that, I mean, it sounds like something that I might have done to say, just don't look over there. But that was not the right way to handle it. I should have just said, you know, and I'm sure that I did say,
Yeah.
Hey, look at that broad over there.
that was a big, I mean, I remember doing that, like saying, you know, talking to you about those images and being very intentional about talking to you about. You know.
I think it's just one of those things where it's like you tell a child not to look at something, not to listen to something, and it's like they want to do it that much more.
Right. Or it becomes a bigger deal than it needs
to be. Yeah, it's like let's just understand this and make it minimize it. Like this is what this is, and you can understand it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I could have handled that better.
It's okay. I feel like it was a particularly overtly sexual time, though.
It was.
Like,
It
I feel
totally
like
was.
that whole like Abercrombie Hollister
Yeah.
thing, which like I never wanted that because I was emo, as we all know. But I'm sure
that
there
was
was
for preppy kids.
that was for the preps. I'm sure that there was a moment where I did want it though, like sixth
I
grade.
know I had that.
Yeah, well, I always knew that I couldn't fit in it because I was always kind of like a weird in between size. You could have fit in it, but you weren't allowed.
I think I had.
It was expensive also.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's
yeah,
not
it was
necessary. But I did have one Hollister sweatshirt, and
I remember that.
You know how it smelled so strong in there,
Yeah.
with their cologne and stuff. I literally didn't wash it
Because you were like, I need the
it
smell.
smelled good to me. Like I enjoyed.
It smelled
the smell.
like conformity.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, like I wanted Uggs. I wanted.
Chestnut Bailey button, baby.
I had them.
See how that marketing worked?
Yeah,
It
well,
worked.
That's the whole thing.
It
It's
was
like
money.
But
and
I
all
never
that money.
thought I like wanted. Like I didn't.
you can't see the forest for the trees
Yeah.
when
When you're a
that
child.
little. Yeah.
You're a child and
Yeah.
you want to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that,
But to be fair, Uggs are a very reasonable purchase when living in Ohio.
and you owned a pair.
And
Yeah.
I owned a pair, and I kept them until I was a sophomore in college. I wore them for
I
a
had
really long
I had this
time.
pair of knockoff.
They were very reasonable for trends for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a pair of knockoff Uggs from Old Navy that had an applique of a bird and some flowers on the side, and they were cute.
They were cute.
I loved them. I wore them until the treads wore off, and I would fall all the time because I
No
remember
traction.
It was during show choir. I would always get off the bus, walk through the snow, and enter the choir room and just eat it immediately. Like my legs would fly out from under me, and I'd land on my ass because there was no traction. reaction laugh. But they were so cute.
But you looked cute, except for that minute when you fell down.
Exactly, except for when I fell down. That is so true. Okay, so so then another thing that's come up is that I used to get in trouble a lot when I was a kid. I just would do dumb shit constantly. I would lie, I would forge, I would break rules that weren't even like really worth breaking, but like I would do it anyway, mostly because something was forbidden, A, or B, because I thought that being honest about the problem would get me in more trouble than hiding it would be, which was
not true.
Never the truth.
No,
never the truth.
True. No.
An example is like I would like get in trouble at school for like smacking an annoying boy, and instead of telling my mom I got in trouble for it, I would hide the fact that I got in trouble for it, forge my way out of her finding out for 2 months, and then get caught, which was way worse than what it would have been in the beginning.
For sure, yeah, because you know what, I might have just said, did he deserve it?
Yeah, right. Like it's like a weird conflict avoidance thing, but I did it so many times.
Because there was the situation where you did punch the boy, and
you're like, yeah, he deserved it.
And I was like,
I also didn't actually really punch him. He was being a baby.
Yeah, it's like a slight hit, and he's like, oh.
He was like
crying.
Yeah, that's like a whole other story.
That's another story.
But I bring this up because I'm curious if you got in trouble as a kid very often.
I did not get in trouble very much as a kid at all.
But also your parents.
Yes, we didn't. We had a weird sort of disciplinary atmosphere when I was a kid, and that was we feared my dad, but we never got in trouble by my dad.
And then I just had a couple last questions, and this is kind of related to like the support thing. I'm gonna switch around the order slightly. So you're an artist professionally, you have been your whole life, and I'm wondering when you realized that Audrey and I were kind of gonna take similar paths, and like how that made you feel. Like, were you nervous about it? Because if you were, it never seemed like it. I mean, it was always extremely unflinching that Audrey and I were going to be able to like do what we wanted, which is not the case for a lot of creative people.
No. Right. No, I haven't, having been in a creative career myself, I know there are ways. There are ways to make a living at it. I mean, you're not going to, maybe be,
it's more risky.
You're not going to be,
but you can survive.
You can, and you come from an entrepreneurial family.
Yeah.
And, like, I have my own business. Your dad clearly has his, and so it's not outside of the realm of what our family is used to.
That's true.
So.
It's not like we have like the family cheese business and we're like, I'm going to go make movies.
No,
that's true.
And honestly, you guys are independent thinkers, and it just makes sense for you. And my goal for you guys as a parent, and kids are going to do what they want anyway, but was always encourage you to pursue your interests and try to do that for your career. I mean, if you're interested in your career, you're going to enjoy your career.
Yeah.
If you're doing something you hate, you're going to hate
your
it.
life.
Yeah, you're not going to like it. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was, everything that parents project on their child is out of love and wanting them to have a good life, and it's like
it's interesting how that manifests.
How it manifests in so many different ways, but we just so happened to be very lucky that you had that perspective, because like we have a ton of friends, like I have friends where their parents were like, we are concerned for you, we want you to have a good life, therefore
it's like stability above all.
Instead of like you can be the most stable, you can be rich, but if you hate what you do every single day, you will hate your life. So
I think that's a good point, because for me, financial stability was not, I mean, growing up, we always had everything we needed, but I don't think we knew how just barely it was. And, when I was on my own, it was also just barely. I was used to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so to me, I've always felt like I could lose everything and be fine.
Right.
I'll just
revert.
Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll figure out a way. But I enjoy what I do. So I felt like, you know.
Yeah, to me, it always felt like no other option. Like, I literally could not see myself even doing, like, I think my backup idea was, like, psychology.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't see anything
Well, you knew
else.
what you wanted to do from middle school, I think.
Yeah, you knew really early on.
Yeah.
And I kind of did. I mean...
We knew, yeah, I mean, it was going to be something writing-ish or...
Yeah, like media-ish
creative.
or music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Yeah. And here we are. We actually get to do this as
I
a
mean,
job.
I feel like your personalities are very much reflected in what you do.
Mom, you made it through the cross-examination. Yay! Okay, so...
The hot seat.
The hot seat. She's still in the hot seat, but the heat has been turned off beneath the hot seat. Okay, that wasn't even that hot.
Do you need to answer
In fact,
something?
I really enjoy talking to you guys about these topics because it's
They're
as
good
adults.
topics.
It's great to have your kids as adults.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
Yeah. She has her blurb she's pulling up.
I do have a blurb.
Oh, right. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Mom pulled out her iPhone and Audrey started to get nervous. Okay, so we are talking about Legally Blonde. This is how we got into all of this. And I just had a couple last points that I think would be cool to discuss about the movie. And then Mom has a statement on, do we care if the movies are actually good or not? And so we're going to end on that, but we'll leave that as the cherry on top at the end. So, controversial, this first one.
Yet brave.
Controversial yet brave, what I'm about to say. So, the whole premise of Legally Blonde is that Warner needs to have a serious partner in order to achieve his dreams. Mm-hmm. And my question is, in what world does, in what straight world, in what straight couple, does it matter to a man's career trajectory how serious the wife is? Wouldn't it just be like, the hotter she is,
the better. You.
Like, I just felt like conceptually that felt like a reach to me. Do you have any
the fact
thoughts
that
on that?
He was like, if I'm going to be a senator by the time I'm 30, I need to marry Jackie, not a Marilyn.
And I'm like,
those are the words.
But it's not even true.
I can see where that image comes from, like Jackie, Marilyn. There you go. But yeah, is that realistic? No.
What do you feel about that?
I feel like that's an antiquated perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that, even at that time,
yeah. I mean,
that
Jackie and
idea
Marilyn
was from another time.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense for his character. Old money.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, politics.
Right, because if you think about all those politicians of that time, their spouses were highly educated women whose ability to use their education was completely nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, that you had to be highly educated, but
not
can't
use
practice.
Not use it. Yeah. To decorate the White House or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
And then, you know, the quote unquote dumb blonde was also part of the picture, just not part of the marriage.
Right.
I mean,
That's true.
That's part of what rounds out the man. It's like the powerful man. It's like the mistress and the wife. Yeah.
That's totally, yes. That's it. That we cracked it. That's it.
Mom cracked it. Yeah. All right. I know that there are a lot of like trans people, for example, who feel really represented by Elle Woods, or people that are outsiders in a world that they're trying to break into feel really represented by her. And I just wonder why do we think that is so true even while Elle is so unrelatable?
Well, I think usually it's that they didn't have media to actually literally relate to, so it's any underdog story that is fun to watch, has comedy, it has good fashion, it just looks nice and it's fun to watch, and she is an underdog in the story. It's like they didn't have good examples. She's not a great example.
Yeah.
I think she's the best example for somebody who for like, I even saw a TikTok like yesterday that was like, Elle Woods was my inspo, and it like she like pretty directly inspired this woman to be one of the only women in her law class and like withstand all the struggles of that and then like graduate and stuff. So like I feel like there's a lot of literal people, like women, who are inspired by her.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Yeah, I have something I can jump off with from there. So I guess one other thing about this movie that I really like is that, and this sort of speaks to what we were talking about Mom, like you encouraging Audrey and I to like pursue what we like to the furthest extent and like be the truest to ourselves as we could be, because I feel like we're both very like authentic to who we are. And I feel like in Legally Blonde, the whole thing is like what gets her into Harvard is her signature sparkle. It's like the weird admissions video.
Her charisma and authenticity.
Yeah, like her being herself to the fullest extent is the thing that actually gets her everywhere. Like, it's very like, you could always go home the whole time. Like, it was within you, like the end of The Wizard of Oz. Like, she had everything she needed the whole time. She just needed to be able to see it for herself.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is actually a deceptively really good message for kids to see, or like for younger people to see. And like, yeah, it is disguised in this like hot blonde like stereotype shell, but there is so much more depth to it.
And Reese does bring
she brings the nuance.
Yeah, like that moment right after she's been hit on and she sees Emmett out in the lobby thing, and she's like, I'm just gonna stop pretending, and Emmett's like, but you're not pretending, this is who you are. And like obviously being told it by the man is like, okay, but you know, having good friends who will
like, you are
validate you,
right?
That is important.
And
Emmett's a good person.
And I guess I'm trying to whip out the golden bow here, because I love to get a golden bow on these episodes, and I just feel like we as people have that kind. I mean, I know I do. At least I feel this way. Like leading with my personality and like my most truthful version of myself is like where I'm most comfortable and what yields the best results for me. And I feel like that is because of being very much accepted and encouraged to be myself as a kid due to Mom.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Dad.
There could be no better result than that. That makes me happy to hear that.
I think we've reached the conclusion of our two-parter. Oh, but not yet.
Oh, yeah.
Because Mom has her statement.
I'm just going to read this to keep it simple. Looking at what you are both doing now, in retrospect, I think what really mattered was the act of considering a show's appropriateness for you. So I'm thinking in terms of like, I know part of this was like, Mom, why, you know, what was Mom's thought process in like patrolling our media consumption? So thinking about what you were consuming seems to have had a positive effect. Thinking about whether to watch Legally Blonde before and after gave you an awareness of critical thinking. Who would think that you could end up with thoughts on social issues based on Barbie princess movies? That's pretty cool.
Yes, that is true.
So the question you asked, do we really care if they are good? It's really thinking about whether they're good that matters.
Yes.
What a great way to end our second season.
Yeah. Nice job,
It's been
Mom.
a ride.
Prepared. And this was really fun.
Thanks
for joining us.
I had a great time.
Yay, good. Okay. Anything else we want to say?
That's all I got.
I don't think so. So
That's
now you
all-
have all heard
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. Now you've all heard the voice of Mom. And maybe she'll come back at some point in the future. Who knows? Maybe we'll drag Dad in here at some point.
Oh, that would be
funny.
interesting.
That would be funny.
I don't know. We'd have to think of something a good movie to go off of for that, because we didn't watch much movies.
Yeah, it would have to be like Nacho Libre or something.
Yeah. It would have to be something
That would
like
be
that.
good. Okay, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If you are listening, you have officially made it through season 2 of Sleepover Cinema.
Woo!
Yay! We will be back in but a few short weeks with more episodes for you, and you are the nicest person ever if you're listening to this. So,
let us know your thoughts on the season and leave a review if you haven't.
Yes.
And you want to, obviously. Unless you hate it, then
you are
don't.
legally required to go leave a review.
But yeah, I think we're good.
Cool. Okay, we will be back soon.
Bye.
Bye. Do you want to say bye too?
Bye.
You can find more from us at evergreenpodcast.com/sleepover-cinema and keep up with our latest creative projects at twopinkpictures.com. If you want to watch our show as well as listen, we're on YouTube too. Search Sleepover Cinema or go to the linktree in our Instagram bio. We're on Instagram and Twitter at twopinkpictures and would love to hear from you there. We're also on TikTok at Sleepover Cinema, and that's really where the party is at.
And if you like the show, if it brings back evocative memories of childhood or tweendom or babysitting, share the episode with a few friends. Leave us an iTunes review telling us what movie you'd like to see us cover next, and leave us a review if you like the show, and if you don't. Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Rule Hoffman with theme music by Josh Perlman Hall. Special thanks to executive producers Michael D'Aloia and David Moss. We'll chat again soon.